Hey, what's going on, guys? So I wanted to make an update video because here on the channel I do talk about a lot of the problems here on YouTube, especially revolving around copyright. And, well, there's been a pretty big change here on the platform when it comes down to copyright and how creators really can combat it. And I wanted to talk about that today because, I mean, it is pretty major. And, you know, I gotta give YouTube a lot of props because this update is pretty significant and they've made a pretty major stride into the right direction. And, you know, I do have to give them props on that. So, I mean, there have been, pretty much everyone can understand that. Even if you don't make YouTube videos, you've probably heard your favorite creators complain about copyright and the system here on YouTube. Getting unfair copyright claims, having fair use basically thrown out the window, things like that. I mean, there's just a ridiculous amount of problems, basically. And while every single problem hasn't been fixed in this update, a lot of them have been addressed. The major one that has been really addressed in this one is definitely manual claiming. Now, the difference between like a content ID, you know, automated claim and a manual claim, content ID is the feature that YouTube has. And what it does is it basically allows, let's say, like Sony to basically upload material that like YouTube will automatically screen all videos on YouTube to kind of match against, and whenever it finds a match, it will automatically it'll apply a copyright, basically. So that's how the content ID system works. But when somebody manually claims something, that means that a quote-unquote trusted partner, aka somebody that YouTube gives access to as part of a partnership, can basically watch your video and can manually claim it by just, I guess, filing an application against it or something. I'm not necessarily sure how that process works, but they can manually claim it if Content ID can't necessarily file a copyright application against said video. Well, anyways, manual claims were especially broken because, let's say, somebody who gained the trust of YouTube decided that they didn't like your video and they just manually claimed it because they didn't like it. They could just unfairly copyright strike your video because they just didn't like what you had to say, steal all the revenue, possibly put a copyright strike against your channel, basically do whatever they wanted. And since YouTube doesn't really get involved with the actual copyright when it comes to the dispute, I mean, they basically didn't get involved, you know, you basically were just screwed. You were out of luck and you just had to eat that. Well, with this change, with the manual claim now, they have to provide a timestamp that actually shows YouTube, you know, where that claim is coming from. So let's say they want to actually claim something in the video, they have to provide a time frame that actually shows what they're trying to claim within that video. So they can't just claim an entire video and then just pretend, you know, that something happened. They have to actually provide YouTube some evidence that they own something in that video. And they also have to provide YouTube with a time frame that shows, hey, this is what we're claiming. We're not claiming the whole video, we're claiming this portion of it. So going forward, YouTubers will be able to deal with that, and I mean, that's a big step up because, I mean, if you got manually claimed in the past, hey, who knows? You could have done pretty much anything wrong within God knows how long, because a lot of creators don't just make, you know, 4-minute videos. There's a lot of creators who make 18-minute videos. There's a lot of people who make 45-minute videos. And it could have literally just been a 2-second clip, or it could have been the whole video that they were claiming. You never would have known. But now, you actually have an idea as to what's being claimed, so that's a big step up. Anyways, going forward, another big step up is actually being able to do something when somebody claims something. So, an example of this, my most popular video is the day that Minecraft died. I haven't earned a single cent from this video for well over a year now, even though that it has gained millions of views in this time frame, simply because of 20 seconds of audio at the end, which plays the Pound Cake instrumental by Drake and Jay-Z. This was copyrighted by the copyright owners, even though the video is over 10 minutes long and this clip is 20 seconds long, which means that God knows how much money that was taken from me because of this clip by the people who own the copyright to that song, you know, Drake's management, Jay-Z's management, whoever owns the copyright over there at Sony or whoever runs, you know, their management has made however much of that my money off my video because of that little clip. Well, they've added some features that can help me clear that up, and thankfully I'll be able to take that video back and I'll actually be able to make revenue off of my biggest video of all time once again. So there's actually two new features. So there's the ability to mute a selected clip. So let's say they copyrighted 37 seconds of a selected video. You can just straight up mute that selected area now, and you can delete or erase that area of that song, and it'll just be muted clip, which isn't necessarily great, but I mean, if you don't want to play any of YouTube's stock music or anything in the background, I mean, I guess that's a good option. But there's also another feature where you can add some of YouTube's copyright-free music into the background. I think a good feature to add on top of this would be able to kind of add your own audio back into this, like upload an audio file over top of this, because I would just add one of my own instrumentals over top of this. Obviously, I own the copyright to my own music, so I'll have to go through and start working on some of my copyright stuff, you know, with that being said. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously a good feature because a lot of people are going to be able to start getting some of their videos back and start making revenue on videos that realistically they should be getting money off of, because, I mean, honestly, who deserves to lose that money because of a 20-second audio clip? It wasn't like I ripped the entire song and re-uploaded it. I played 20 seconds of an instrumental at the end of a video. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of ridiculous, but they're also apparently working on a improved trim feature, which will allow them, I guess, to trim, build in, whatever, something. I'm not necessarily sure what this is. I guess it has something to do with YouTube Studio. I guess there's like some built-in editor where you can like edit pieces of your video on YouTube, and you can trim clips out if it's copyrighted or whatnot. So I think for now you'll be able to actually trim out the time-stamped areas, but in the future it will be improved upon so you can do more with it. Now also keep in mind that there's other things that you can do when your video has been copyrighted. One of those things is to do nothing. Sometimes that, well, realistically, most of the times that's really the smartest thing you can do. I mean, honestly, YouTube's system when it comes to disputing is so broken that if you really try to dispute most of the time, you're just gonna get smacked. It's not really worth getting a strike on your channel or just losing or anything to even try really to go forward. So, I mean, most of the time when you get a strike, you might as well just do nothing. I mean, when it comes down to it, you really don't want problems with a lot of these people. Apparently, another thing you can do is to share revenue. Now, I never knew you could do this. I've looked at some of my copyright claims. Apparently, you can share the revenue like 50-50 split. I didn't even know this was a possibility. I thought you either gave it all up to them or you just didn't get copyrighted. I didn't know this was even a thing, but apparently they, I guess, added this in or something. I was never aware of this. I would be a little bit more okay with this in a lot of situations. I mean, especially in ones where it's a little bit more obvious that a lot of the content, it's a little bit more stretched when it comes to the terms of fair use, you know what I'm saying? But then again, a lot of this content is fair use. I mean, a lot of copyright strikes on YouTube, I would say, are definitely not legitimate in the first place. And when it really comes down to it, I mean, sharing revenue isn't fun, especially when you're in the right, so yeah. Or you can dispute the claim. Now, of course, disputing the claim on YouTube pretty much means you're gonna lose regardless. So most of you were like, oh yeah, that means that YouTube will kind of look over it and see who's gonna win, right? No, of course, that's not what it means. Of course, that's not what that means at all. When you get a copyright claim on YouTube and you dispute it, you know, you get to argue your side, you get to type your case in and whatnot and sign off on it and everything, and then YouTube steps back out of it, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're not getting involved in this. Basically, what happens from there is the people who copyright struck you in the first place say, you know, Sony copyright strikes my video, right? And I argue my case like, hey, this was fair use. I think that this definitely fits within the guidelines of fair use. I think you should reconsider this copyright claim and that this should not be the case, right? Well, guess what Sony gets to do? They get to decide whether or not their claim was legitimate and they get to steal all my money. That's how a copyright claim works on YouTube. You know, it's ridiculous. So basically, whoever makes the claim gets to decide if the claim is legitimate or not. It would be like the murderer going to court and being able to decide if he's guilty or not. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it doesn't really make that much sense when you really line it all up. I don't really understand the thought process behind building that whole thing up, but you know, what can I really do about it? I didn't make it, right? So, I mean, obviously, there is a lot of room for improvement, and I'm hoping that they will build off of this. There is a lot that they can do with this going forward. I mean, there's still a lot that needs to be changed, obviously, with the dispute process. I'm hoping YouTube does a little bit more to kind of, I would say, expedite the dispute process and maybe add some barriers in place that kind of takes, I would say, you know, the decision making out of the person's hand who makes the claim in the first place, I would say that automatically destroys like 70% of these false copyright claims in the first place. Because, I mean, who's going to make a lot of these false copyright claims if they don't get to make the final decision, if they know that they have no legitimacy, if they know they're going to be shut down in the first place? You know, it really doesn't make that much sense for them to even go out of their way if they know that they're not going to win the case. So YouTube definitely has their work cut out going forward. We'll see if they keep up this momentum when it comes to future updates. I have no idea. I'm not going to get my hopes too high. I really do want to say that they will, but we'll see. With that being said, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I'm definitely glad to see this. I think most creators are glad to see this. Definitely a positive reaction in the community to this move. And going forward, I really hope that YouTube continues to listen to the creators and the fans of this platform when it comes to things like this, because it is pretty apparent that they did listen at least a little bit when it came down to this, because a lot of this is tailored around input that creators have been giving for the past few months, if not years really, about the whole copyright system. So who knows what this means going down the road. They say that there's more coming when it comes to the copyright system, and the creator copyright experience is going to be getting improved. Who knows? They said that they're going to share updates throughout this year. They said they will also be updating answers to common copyright questions. So I guess I will link that down below if you do want to go ahead and read up a little bit more about this topic down below. There's a lot of reading material down there as well, so you go ahead and check that out. And yeah, but I mean, for now, they've already made some significant progress. So, I mean, I have to say, hats off to them. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on my channel. Follow me over on Twitter at @SubToOptimus. I post memes, thoughts, and updates over there. It's a surefire way to get notifications of all my newest content. Join the Discord down below. Lots of great things going on over there as well. Thank you to my channel members for your $5 a month. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus getting copyrighted and signing out.